It's 2 a.m. and I'm patching drywall in what used to be our guest bedroom, listening to the house settle around me like old bones. The work keeps my hands busy while my mind churns through everything that's gone wrong between Cleo and me these past 6 months. Through the heating vent, I hear her voice drift up from the kitchen below. Soft, almost giggly, nothing like the sharp tone she uses with me anymore. "I know, Eli," she whispers into her phone. "He's upstairs working on his little project. He won't come down for hours." I freeze, putty knife halfway to the wall. Eli. I don't know any Eli, and Cleo has never mentioned anyone by that name. The giggle that follows makes my stomach twist. It's the same laugh she used to give me during our first year of marriage, back when she thought my contractor stories were charming instead of beneath her. My name is Mason Reddan, and I've been fixing things for 22 years. Houses, businesses, the occasional relationship. But apparently, I can't fix whatever's broken between my wife and me. Cleo asked me 3 weeks ago if I'd consider opening our marriage. She used clinical terms like exploring options and maintaining emotional intimacy while allowing physical freedom. I told her no. We're either married or we're not. The conversation below continues, and I catch fragments through the old ductwork. Something about meeting tomorrow, about being careful, about how he doesn't suspect anything. The putty knife slips from my hand and clatters to the floor. I've been sleeping in this guest room for 4 months now, ever since Cleo decided my snoring was disrupting her sleep schedule. She needs 8 hours minimum for optimal performance at the law firm, she explained. Her career is taking off, junior partner track, big cases, important clients. My construction business is steady but small time. I get it. What I don't get is why she's whispering sweet nothings to some guy named Eli at 2 a.m. The next morning, Cleo is already gone when I come downstairs. Her coffee mug sits in the sink, lipstick stain on the rim like a signature. I pour myself a cup from the pot she left behind and notice the trash can is full. Unusual for a Tuesday. Pickup isn't until Friday. I'm reaching for a paper towel when I see them. Birth control pills, the little plastic compact cracked open, scattered among coffee grounds and orange peels. The prescription label is torn, but I can make out Cleo's name and last week's date. My hands shake as I fish the compact out of the garbage. We haven't been intimate in 6 months. Not since her promotion started consuming her life. Not since every conversation became about billable hours and client dinners and networking events I wasn't important enough to attend. So why does my wife need birth control pills? I spend the day on a kitchen renovation across town, installing cabinets for the Hendersons, while my mind replays that phone conversation. Mrs. Henderson offers me sweet tea and asks about Cleo, how proud I must be of her success. I smile and nod and measure twice, cut once, just like always. But inside, I'm measuring something else entirely. That evening, Cleo comes home with takeout Chinese and an apology for being distant lately. She's wearing a new dress, something silky and expensive that I've never seen before. Her hair is different too, styled instead of pulled back in her usual practical ponytail. "You look nice," I tell her, and I mean it. She's always been beautiful, even when she's breaking my heart. "Thank you." She smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. "I thought we could eat together tonight. Catch up." We sit at our kitchen table like strangers making small talk. She asks about my work, and I tell her about the Henderson project. She mentions a difficult client, some merger that's keeping her busy. Normal conversation, the kind we've perfected over months of growing apart. But I keep thinking about those pills in the trash, about the name Eli whispered like a secret. After dinner, Cleo retreats to her home office to review contracts. I clean the kitchen and load the dishwasher, domestic routines that once felt comfortable, but now seem like theater. When I'm done, I stand in the doorway of her office and watch her work. She's focused on her laptop screen, fingers flying over the keyboard. Professional, competent, successful, everything she always wanted to be. I remember when she first started law school, how excited she was about making a difference, fighting for justice. Now she handles corporate mergers and contract disputes. Not quite the same thing, but the money is better. I'm heading upstairs, I tell her. Okay. She doesn't look up. I'll be up late, don't wait for me. I haven't waited for her in months. In the guest room, I sit on the edge of the bed and stare at the half-finished drywall. Tomorrow I'll apply primer, then paint. In a few days, the room will look perfect, like nothing was ever broken here. But some things can't be fixed with spackle and paint. I pull out my phone and do something I never thought I'd do. I research security cameras. Not the expensive, obvious kind that scream paranoia, but small, discreet models designed for home monitoring. The kind that can hide inside existing fixtures. The reviews are detailed, technical, battery life, video quality, wireless range. I read until my eyes burn, taking notes like I'm planning a renovation project. Because in a way, I am. I'm about to renovate my entire understanding of my marriage. The next day, I drive to an electronics store in the next town over. I pay cash for 2 micro cameras and a wireless receiver. The teenager behind the counter explains the setup process with the enthusiasm of someone who's never had his world turned upside down by birth control pills in the trash. These are perfect for monitoring your property, he says. Totally discreet. The battery lasts about a week with normal recording. I nod and smile like a man planning to catch package thieves instead of his wife's infidelity. Back home, I wait until Cleo leaves for work, then get to business. The first camera goes inside the smoke detector in our bedroom, positioned to cover the bed and most of the room. The second goes in the living room detector, angled toward the couch and front door. My hands are steady as I work. 22 years of precision installation paying off in ways I never expected. The cameras are invisible, just part of the fixtures I installed myself 3 years ago. No one would think to look for them there, especially not someone who's never paid attention to the technical details of our home. I test the wireless connection from my phone. Crystal clear video, decent audio pickup. Professional quality surveillance in devices smaller than my thumb. Now I wait. Cleo comes home that evening with another new outfit and the same distant smile. We eat leftover Chinese in comfortable silence, and she retreats to her office again. I work on the guest room drywall and try not to think about what I might discover. The next morning brings rain and a text from Cleo saying she'll be home late. Client dinner that might run long. I spend the day installing flooring for a young couple expecting their first baby. They're excited, nervous, planning every detail of their nursery with the kind of hope I remember feeling once. I drive home through empty streets, windshield wipers fighting the October drizzle. Our house looks warm and inviting from the outside, yellow light spilling from the windows onto the wet lawn. A perfect suburban scene. Inside, I check the camera feeds on my phone. Empty rooms, normal shadows. Part of me hopes it stays that way, that I'm wrong about everything, that those birth control pills have some innocent explanation I haven't considered. But hope is a luxury I can't afford anymore. Thursday evening arrives with the kind of gray drizzle that makes everything look tired. I'm installing crown molding for the Hendersons when my phone buzzes with a text from Cleo. Working late again. Don't wait up. The same message she's sent 3 times this week. I finish the molding, clean my tools, and drive home through streets that glisten under the streetlights. Our house sits dark except for the porch light I left on. Cleo's car isn't in the driveway. Inside, I heat up leftover pizza and settle into my chair with my phone. The camera app loads with 2 clear video feeds, bedroom and living room, both empty and still. I scroll back through the day's recordings, fast-forwarding through hours of nothing. Then I see her. Cleo comes through the front door at 6:47 p.m., but she's not alone. A tall man follows her inside, and even in the grainy security footage, I can see he's younger than me, probably mid-30s, wearing an expensive suit and the kind of confident smile that comes with money and success. This must be Eli. I watch my wife hang his jacket in our front closet like he belongs there. She's wearing the silky dress from the other night, the one I complimented, and she moves differently around him. Lighter, more animated. She laughs at something he says, and the sound carries clearly through the audio pickup. They move to the couch, and I switch to the bedroom camera, hoping I'm wrong about where this is heading. 20 minutes later, they appear in the bedroom feed. I don't watch the intimate parts. I'm not a voyeur, and seeing my wife with another man isn't going to help anything. But I do notice the details that matter. How comfortable they are together, how familiar their movements seem, how she uses my spare house key on a lanyard around her neck, like some kind of trophy. The timestamp shows they're in there for 43 minutes. When they emerge, Eli is straightening his tie, and Cleo is glowing in a way I haven't seen in years. I watch them share a farewell kiss at the front door, watch her secure the lock behind him, as if everything were normal. She moves through the house straightening up, removing any trace of his visit with practiced ease. Then she settles at her laptop and begins typing, likely the work she said would occupy her all evening. At 11:23 p.m., she texts me, finally heading home, exhausted. I'm already upstairs in the guest room when she arrives, pretending to sleep while she showers and settles into our bed alone. The bed where she entertained another man just hours earlier. I lie awake until dawn, staring at the ceiling and processing what I've seen. 22 years of marriage, and I never suspected she was capable of this level of deception. The planning, the lies, the casual way she brought him into our home. It's not a momentary lapse in judgment. It's a calculated betrayal. The next morning, Cleo is cheerful over coffee, asking about my weekend plans like nothing has changed. She's wearing another new outfit, something casual but flattering, and she keeps checking her phone between bites of toast. I might have to work Saturday, she says, not meeting my eyes. Big merger deadline coming up. Of course, I reply, stirring sugar into my coffee. Whatever you need to do. She looks surprised by my easy agreement. For months I've been pushing for more time together, suggesting date nights and weekend trips she always has excuses to avoid. But now I understand why she's been so unavailable. After she leaves for work, I sit at my laptop and review the footage frame by frame. I clip the relevant sections, save multiple copies to different drives, and print several still images with timestamps and room identifiers clearly visible. The evidence is undeniable. Cleo brought another man into our home, used the spare key I gave her for emergencies, and conducted an affair in our bedroom while lying to me about working late. But I don't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I spend the day methodically preparing for what comes next. I gather my important documents: birth certificate, passport, financial records, insurance papers. I pack my tools, my clothes, and the few personal items that matter to me. Everything fits in my truck with room to spare. I've been living like a guest in my own house for months anyway. Next, I call the utility companies: electric, gas, water, internet. I remove my name from all the shared accounts. Cleo makes more money than me now. She can handle the bills for the house she's turned into her personal hotel. I update my emergency contacts, forward my mail to a post office box I rent across town, and transfer my half of our joint savings to a personal account. Nothing illegal, nothing vindictive, just a man extracting himself from a marriage that ended without him realizing it. By evening, my presence has been surgically removed from our shared life. The house looks the same, but I'm no longer part of it. I leave my keys on the kitchen counter: house key, mailbox key, and the spare she doesn't know I know about. Next to them, I place a single printed photograph. Cleo and Eli in our living room, timestamp clearly visible, her spare key hanging around her neck like a badge of dishonor. On the back, I write my new address for mail forwarding only. I don't leave a letter explaining myself. The photo says everything that needs saying. My truck starts on the first try, like it's eager to leave this place behind. I drive through our neighborhood one last time, past houses where normal couples live normal lives, where marriages mean something more than convenient arrangements and tax benefits. At the motel across town, I check into a room that's clean and simple and honest about what it is. No pretense, no hidden agendas, just a place to sleep while I figure out what comes next. I turn off my phone and pour myself a drink from the bottle I picked up on the way over. Outside, traffic moves steadily past the motel sign. People going somewhere. People with purpose. Tomorrow, Cleo will come home to an empty house and a photograph that changes everything. She'll realize I know about Eli, about the lies, about the careful way she's been dismantling our marriage while pretending to save it. But tonight, for the first time in months, I sleep peacefully. I wake up Saturday morning in the motel room to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages, all from Cleo. The messages start calm. "Mason, where are you? Your keys are on the counter." Then confused. "Did you see this photo? I can explain everything." Then desperate. "Please call me. We need to talk about this." Finally angry. "You can't just disappear. We have responsibilities." I delete them all without responding and head out for coffee and breakfast. The diner down the street serves the kind of food that sticks to your ribs and doesn't pretend to be anything fancy. The waitress calls me hon and refills my cup without being asked. My phone buzzes with another call from Cleo. I let it go to voicemail. Around noon, I drive past our house, my old house, just to see what's happening. Cleo's car is in the driveway, and through the front window I can see her pacing back and forth, phone pressed to her ear, probably calling everyone we know trying to figure out where I went. Good luck with that. I've rented a small apartment above Mike Daly's auto shop on the south side of town. Mike and I went to high school together, played football until he blew out his knee senior year. Now he fixes cars and minds his own business, exactly the kind of landlord I need right now. "Trouble at home?" he asks when I carry my boxes upstairs. Something like that. He nods and doesn't push for details. Mike understands that some stories aren't ready to be told. The apartment is basic: kitchenette, living room, bedroom, bathroom, everything I need and nothing I don't. The windows face east, toward the sunrise instead of west, toward the house where my wife entertains other men. I'm unpacking my tools when my phone rings again. This time, it's not Cleo, it's her sister Jennifer. "Mason, what the hell is going on? Cleo is hysterical." Jennifer has never liked me much. I'm not successful enough, not ambitious enough, not good enough for her brilliant lawyer sister. But there's genuine concern in her voice now. "Ask Cleo," I tell her. "She has all the answers." "She said you left some kind of threatening photo." "Not threatening, just informative." "Mason, whatever's happening, you two can work through it. Marriage is about forgiveness." I almost laugh. "Tell your sister I said congratulations on her new relationship. I hope Eli makes her happy." The silence stretches long enough that I wonder if the call dropped. "How did you—" Jennifer starts, then stops. "Oh, Mason, how long have you known?" "Long enough." "Why didn't you say something? Try to fight for her?" "You can't fight for someone who's already gone." After I hang up, I sit in my new living room and think about that question. Why didn't I fight for her? Why didn't I confront Cleo the moment I found those birth control pills, demand explanations, insist on marriage counseling? The truth is, part of me was relieved to finally understand why our marriage felt so hollow. For months, I'd been blaming myself for the distance between us, wondering what I'd done wrong, how I could be better. Finding out about Eli didn't just explain her behavior, it freed me from the responsibility of fixing something that was already broken beyond repair. Sunday morning brings another barrage of calls and texts. Cleo has moved past anger into bargaining mode. "We can work through this. I made a mistake, but our marriage is worth saving." Then back to anger. "You're being childish. Running away doesn't solve anything. Then manipulation. People are asking questions. You're embarrassing both of us. I turn off the phone and spend the day setting up my new life. I register my business address with the county, update my contractor's license, and call my regular clients to give them my new contact information. Mrs. Henderson sounds concerned when I explain I've moved. I hope everything's all right, Mason. You and Cleo seemed so happy. Things change, I tell her. But don't worry, I'll still finish your project on schedule. Because that's what I do. I finish what I start, I keep my promises, and I do good work. Unlike some people. Monday morning, I'm installing bathroom tile for a retired teacher named Mrs. Chen when my phone rings. The caller ID shows the name of Cleo's law firm. Mr. Reddan? This is Patricia Williams, Cleo's supervisor. I'm calling about a personal matter. I'm not discussing my marriage with my wife's boss. I understand your position, but Cleo is very upset, and it's affecting her work. Perhaps if you two could… Ms. Williams, with all due respect, my wife's work performance is between you and her. If she's having trouble concentrating, maybe she should consider the choices that led to this situation. I hang up and get back to work. The tile pattern is complex, requiring precise measurements and careful alignment. It's the kind of job that demands complete focus, which is exactly what I need right now. That evening, I stop by Mike's shop to pay rent and grab a beer. He's working late on a classic Mustang, the kind of restoration project that takes months of patient effort. Heard through the grapevine your wife's been asking around about you, he says, not looking up from the engine. What kind of asking? Where you're staying? Who you've been talking to? She called my ex-wife, if you can believe that. Asked if I mentioned anything about your plans. I take a long pull from my beer. What did you tell her? Same thing I told your wife when she called here directly. I fix cars, not marriages. We work in comfortable silence for a while, Mike adjusting carburetors while I hand him tools. There's something peaceful about mechanical work, the way broken things can be diagnosed and repaired if you understand how they're supposed to function. You know, Mike says eventually, my divorce taught me something important. Sometimes the best thing you can do for a broken relationship is stop trying to fix it. Sounds like wisdom. Sounds like experience. He wipes his hands on a shop rag. You planning to stay disappeared, or is this just a temporary thing? Depends on whether she gets the message. And what message is that? I finish my beer and set the empty bottle on his workbench. That actions have consequences. That lies eventually catch up with you. That some things, once broken, can't be put back together. Mike nods slowly. Fair enough. Just remember, revenge is a dish best served cold, but it's still poison if you're not careful. Tuesday morning brings a new development. I'm measuring lumber at the supply yard when Tom Bradley, a cop I know from high school, approaches with the casual swagger that means official business. Mason, got a minute? Sure. What's up? Your wife filed a missing person report. Says you disappeared without explanation, left behind personal belongings, completely out of character. I almost smile. I'm not missing, Tom. I moved out, left my keys and forwarding address. That's what I figured, but she's worried about your mental state, says you've been acting strange lately. Strange how? Paranoid, suspicious. She mentioned something about hidden cameras. Now I do smile. The cameras I installed in my own house to document my wife's affair? Those cameras? Tom's expression shifts. Ah, that kind of situation. That exact kind of situation. He pulls out a small notebook and flips through a few pages. She didn't mention an affair in her report. I'm sure she didn't, but I have video evidence if you need it for your paperwork. That won't be necessary. I'll update the report to reflect that you're safe and accounted for. He closes the notebook. For what it's worth, Mason, I'm sorry. Marriage is tough enough without that kind of betrayal. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate you checking on me. After he leaves, I load my lumber and drive to the Henderson house to continue their kitchen renovation. Normal work, honest work, the kind of job where you can see progress at the end of each day. Mrs. Henderson offers sweet tea and asks how I'm settling into my new place. Word travels fast in a town this size, but she's kind enough not to pry into the details. Change is hard, she says, but sometimes it's necessary for growth. Yes, ma'am, sometimes it is. That evening, I receive a text from an unknown number. This is Eli. We need to talk. I stare at the message for a long time, considering my options. Part of me wants to ignore it, to let him wonder and worry like I did for weeks. But another part is curious about what he has to say for himself. I type back, "Nothing to discuss." His response comes quickly. "Cleo says you're threatening her. That stops now." The audacity is breathtaking. This man has been sleeping with my wife in my house, and now he's trying to intimidate me? I haven't threatened anyone, just documented reality. Stay away from her, or we'll have problems. I set the phone aside and pour myself a drink. Outside, the sun is setting behind the auto shop, painting the sky in shades of orange and red, beautiful and temporary, like most good things. My phone buzzes with another message from Eli. "I'm serious, Mason. Back off." This time I don't respond. Let him sweat. Let him wonder what I'm planning, what I might do next. Let him discover what it feels like to be the one kept in the dark, because this is just the beginning. Wednesday morning brings the first real cold snap of October. I'm drinking coffee in my apartment when I spot Eli's silver Tesla pulling into the auto shop parking lot. Through my window, I watch him get out and look around like he's casing the place. Mike emerges from the shop, wiping his hands on a rag, and they have a brief conversation. Eli gestures toward my apartment, and Mike shakes his head, pointing toward the street. The universal gesture for "get lost." But Eli doesn't leave. Instead, he leans against his expensive car and pulls out his phone, probably calling Cleo for instructions on how to handle the husband who won't disappear quietly. I finish my coffee, grab my jacket, and head downstairs. "Morning, Mike. Your wife's boyfriend is here," he says without preamble. "Wanted to know which apartment is yours. I told him to take his business elsewhere." "I'll handle it." Eli looks up as I approach, and I get my first good look at him in daylight. Mid-30s, like I guessed, with the kind of polished appearance that screams tech money. His suit probably costs more than I make in a month, and his shoes have never seen actual work. "Mason Reddan?" He extends a hand like we're meeting at a networking event. "Eli Pruitt. I think we should talk." I don't shake his hand. "About what?" "About this situation with Cleo. It's gotten complicated." Complicated. I taste the word. That's one way to put it. "Look, I know this is awkward, but we're all adults here. Cleo and I have feelings for each other, real feelings. She wants to handle this divorce amicably." "Divorce?" I lean against Mike's workbench. "Who said anything about divorce?" Eli looks confused. "Well, I assumed, given the circumstances." "You assumed I'd just step aside so you could have my wife and my house? That's presumptuous. She's not happy, Mason. She hasn't been happy for a long time. And you're here to fix that? I'm here to ask you to be reasonable. Cleo is worried about what you might do. The cameras, the sudden disappearance. It's concerning behavior." I study his face, looking for signs of guilt or shame or even basic awareness of what he's done. But there's nothing except entitlement and mild irritation, like I'm an inconvenient obstacle to his happiness. "Tell me something, Eli. When you were in my house, in my bed, did you think about me at all? Wonder where I was, what I was doing?" He shifts uncomfortably. "It wasn't personal." "It wasn't personal." I repeat his words slowly. "You sleep with another man's wife in his house, and it's not personal. What I mean is, it wasn't about hurting you. Cleo and I connected. These things happen. These things happen." Another gem. You're just a victim of circumstances. I'm trying to be civilized about this. Civilized. I push off from the workbench and take a step closer. You want to know what's civilized, Eli? Civilized is asking for a divorce before you start screwing someone else. Civilized is not bringing your affair into the other person's home. Civilized is taking responsibility for your choices instead of acting like you're doing me a favor. He takes a step back, finally sensing that this conversation isn't going the way he planned. Cleo said you were reasonable. Cleo says a lot of things. Most of them are lies. Look, I didn't come here to fight. I came to work this out like adults. Then here's the adult version. Stay out of my house. Stay away from my friends and family. And the next time you want to threaten me via text message, remember that I have video of you committing adultery in my bedroom. His face goes pale. You can't use that footage. There are privacy laws. In my own house? With my own cameras? I think you should consult a lawyer before you make legal threats. Cleo is a lawyer. Cleo is a corporate lawyer who handles mergers and acquisitions. Family law is a different specialty. I smile without humor. But I'm sure she'll figure that out. Eli glances toward his car like he's considering a quick escape. What do you want, Mason? Money? We can work something out. I want you to understand that actions have consequences. That marriage means something, even if you don't respect it. And that the next time you decide to wreck someone's life, you might want to make sure they're not the kind of person who documents everything. Is that a threat? It's a fact. I'm a contractor, Eli. I measure twice and cut once. I keep detailed records of every job, every expense, every decision. It's how I stay in business. I let that sink in for a moment. Now get off Mike's property before I call the police and report you for trespassing. He hurries to his Tesla without another word, nearly tripping over his expensive shoes in his haste to escape. The engine purrs to life with the whisper-quiet efficiency of German engineering, and he's gone in seconds. Mike emerges from the shop, where he's been pretending to work while eavesdropping on every word. That went well, he says. He's not what I expected. What did you expect? I think about that. Someone more substantial. Someone who might actually be worth losing a marriage over. Maybe that's the point. Maybe your wife didn't leave you for someone better. Maybe she just left. That evening, I'm installing cabinet hardware for the Hendersons when my phone rings. Cleo's name appears on the screen, and for the first time since I left, I answer. Hello, Cleo. Mason. Her voice is strained, exhausted. Eli told me you two talked. Briefly. He said you threatened him. I corrected his misconceptions about the situation. This is insane, Mason. We need to sit down and discuss this rationally. I'm listening. Not over the phone, in person, like civilized people. There's that word again, civilized. Where did you have in mind? Our house. Tonight. We can order dinner, talk things through without all this drama. Our house, I test the phrase. Is that what we're calling it now? It's still your house too, Mason. Your name is on the deed. But not on the utilities, or the insurance, or the credit cards. Silence. You've been busy, she says finally. I'm efficient. It's one of my better qualities. Fine. Meet me at Rossetti's. 8 o'clock. Public place, neutral ground. Rossetti's is the Italian restaurant where we had our first official date 23 years ago. The irony isn't lost on either of us. I'll be there. And Mason, come alone. I could say the same to you. At 8 o'clock sharp, I walk into Rossetti's and find Cleo already seated at a corner booth, the same one we shared all those years ago when we were young and stupid and believed in forever. She's wearing a black dress I've never seen before, something elegant and expensive that makes her look like a successful lawyer instead of an unfaithful wife. She stands to hug me, and I let her, breathing in the familiar scent of her perfume mixed with something new, a different shampoo, maybe, or soap. Small changes that signal how far we've drifted apart. "You look good," she says as we sit down. "Rested." "I've been sleeping better." The waiter brings menus and takes our drink orders. Cleo asks for wine. I stick with water. I want to stay sharp for whatever comes next. "I owe you an apology," she begins once we're alone. "The way you found out about Eli, that wasn't fair to you." "How was I supposed to find out? Were you planning to tell me?" "Eventually, when the time was right." "When would that have been? After the divorce papers were filed? After you moved him into our bedroom permanently?" She flinches. "It wasn't supposed to happen this way." "How was it supposed to happen, Cleo? Walk me through your plan." She fidgets with her napkin, avoiding eye contact. I hoped you might meet someone too. That we could transition into a more open arrangement gradually. I told you no when you asked about an open marriage. I know, but I thought if you saw how happy I was, you might reconsider. The waiter returns to take our food orders. Cleo chooses salmon. I order the chicken parmesan I always get here. Some things never change, even when everything else falls apart. "So you decided to start the open marriage without my consent," I say once we're alone again. "I made a mistake." "You made a choice, multiple choices, over several weeks or months. This wasn't a moment of weakness, Cleo. It was a campaign. I never meant to hurt you. But you did hurt me, and more than that, you disrespected me. You brought another man into our home, into our bed, while lying to my face about working late." Tears start forming in her eyes, and for a moment I remember why I fell in love with her. She was passionate about everything: justice, fairness, making the world better. When did that passion turn into ambition? When did making the world better become making her life better? "I want to fix this, Mason. If you'll let me." "How?" "I'll end things with Eli. We'll go to counseling. We'll rebuild what we had." What we had was built on trust. Once that's gone, trust can be rebuilt. Can it? I lean back in the booth. How do I ever believe you again, Cleo? How do I ever know you're really working late or meeting a client or going to the gym? How do I sleep in our bed without thinking about what happened there? Time heals. Don't. I hold up a hand. Don't give me platitudes about time and healing. I'm asking you a practical question. How does this marriage function without trust? Our food arrives, and we eat in silence for several minutes. The chicken parmesan tastes exactly like it did 23 years ago, rich, familiar, comforting. But the woman across from me might as well be a stranger. "What do you want from me?" Cleo asks finally. "I want you to be honest, for once." "About what?" "About whether you actually want to save this marriage, or whether you just want to avoid the embarrassment of a public divorce." She sets down her fork and looks at me directly for the first time since I arrived. "I want to save it." "Why?" "Because I love you." "Do you? Or do you love the idea of me? The stability, the respectability, the safety net?" "That's not fair." "Fair." I almost laugh. "You want to talk about fair?" "I made a mistake, Mason. One mistake. One ongoing mistake that lasted months. One mistake that required extensive planning and deception. One mistake that you're only sorry about because you got caught." The tears are flowing freely now, and other diners are starting to notice. Cleo dabs at her eyes with her napkin, trying to maintain some dignity. "So what happens now?" she whispers. "Now you decide what you really want. And I decide whether I can live with your choice. And if you can't, I signal the waiter for the check, then we both move on with our lives. Mason, please, don't give up on us." I leave money on the table and stand up. "I didn't give up on us, Cleo. You did. I'm just accepting reality." Outside the restaurant, she follows me to my truck. "I'll do anything," she says, "whatever it takes." "Then prove it. End things with Eli. Not because I'm demanding it, but because you want to. Move back into the guest room until we figure things out. Go to individual counseling before we try couples therapy, and stop lying to me about everything. I can do that. We'll see. I drive home to my apartment above Mike's shop, leaving my wife standing in the parking lot of the restaurant where we fell in love. In the rearview mirror, I watch her get into her car and sit there for several minutes before starting the engine. Maybe she's crying. Maybe she's calling Eli. Maybe she's finally understanding what she's lost. Or maybe she's just planning her next move in a game I'm finally learning how to play. 3 days pass without contact from Cleo. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits to Mike's shop. Either she's taking my ultimatum seriously, or she's regrouping for another approach. With Cleo, both possibilities are equally likely. I spend the time working, finishing the Henderson kitchen, starting a bathroom renovation for a young couple on the east side, keeping my hands busy while my mind processes everything that's happened. Physical work has always been my therapy, the satisfaction of building something solid and permanent in a world full of uncertainty. Friday afternoon, I'm installing a new vanity when Mrs. Henderson brings me a sandwich and some unexpected news. "I saw your wife at the grocery store yesterday," she says, settling into the kitchen chair I've learned is her favorite spot for supervising my work. "She looked terrible, Mason. Tired, stressed. I almost didn't recognize her." "How so?" "No makeup, hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt. Not like her usual polished self." I adjust the vanity level and mark the wall for mounting screws. People handle stress differently. She was buying ice cream, 3 different flavors, and wine, lots of wine. Mrs. Henderson has raised 4 children and survived 47 years of marriage. She understands the significance of ice cream and wine purchases. "Did she see you?" "Oh, yes. She asked about you, actually. Wanted to know how you seemed, whether you'd mentioned her." "What did you tell her?" "That you're professional as always, that you do excellent work, and that your personal life is none of my business." She pauses. "Though between you and me, you do seem lighter somehow, less burdened." That evening, I'm reading in my apartment when someone knocks on the door. Through the window, I see Cleo's car in the parking lot, but it's not Cleo at the door, it's her sister, Jennifer. "Hello, Mason." "Jennifer, this is unexpected." She's holding a bottle of wine and wearing the kind of determined expression that usually precedes difficult conversations. "May I come in?" I step aside and let her enter. She looks around the small apartment, taking in the basic furniture and bare walls. "Cozy," she says diplomatically. "It serves its purpose." She sets the wine on my kitchen counter and turns to face me. Jennifer is 2 years older than Cleo, equally successful, but less polished. Where Cleo chose corporate law, Jennifer went into family practice. Where Cleo married a contractor, Jennifer married a pediatrician. Different paths to the same destination: respectability and financial security. "Cleo doesn't know I'm here," she begins. "I figured." "She's falling apart, Mason. I'm worried about her. She's a grown woman. She can handle the consequences of her choices." "Can she?" Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like she's having some kind of breakdown. I open the wine and pour 2 glasses, more for something to do with my hands than because I want to drink with my sister-in-law. "What exactly do you want from me, Jennifer?" "I want you to understand what you're dealing with. Cleo isn't just upset about getting caught. She's genuinely devastated about losing you. She had an interesting way of showing how much I meant to her. She made a mistake. Everyone keeps saying that, like it was an accident, like she tripped and fell into bed with another man." Jennifer sits down on my couch and takes a sip of wine. "Do you remember when Cleo started law school?" "Of course. She was terrified, convinced she wasn't smart enough, wasn't tough enough, wasn't good enough to compete with all those Ivy League kids. You were the one who believed in her when she didn't believe in herself. What's your point?" "My point is that success changed her. The more she achieved, the more she felt like she had to prove. And somewhere along the way, she started believing her own press releases. That doesn't excuse what she did. No, it doesn't. But it might explain it. Jennifer leans forward. She got seduced by the idea of being someone different. Someone powerful and desirable and free from all the ordinary constraints that apply to regular people. Like marriage vows. Like marriage vows. And when reality crashed down on her, she realized she'd traded the best thing in her life for a fantasy. I drink my wine and consider her words. There's truth in what she's saying. I've watched Cleo transform over the years from an idealistic law student into a calculating corporate attorney. But understanding someone's motivations doesn't erase the harm they've caused. Has she ended it with Eli? Yes, completely. She won't even take his calls. And the counseling? She's already made an appointment. Individual therapy, just like you suggested. What about moving out of our bedroom? Jennifer looks uncomfortable. She's been sleeping on the couch since you left. Says the bedroom doesn't feel right without you. Convenient timing for that realization. Mason, I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But don't let pride destroy something that might still be salvageable. It's not about pride, Jennifer. It's about respect, about basic human decency, about whether a marriage can survive when one person decides the rules don't apply to them. People make mistakes. Stop calling it a mistake. Mistakes are accidental. This was a choice, a series of choices made over weeks or months, with full knowledge of what she was doing. Jennifer finishes her wine and stands up. She loves you, Mason. Whatever else happened, that's still true. Maybe, but love without respect isn't enough. After she leaves, I sit on my couch and think about what she said. Part of me wants to believe that Cleo is genuinely remorseful, that this affair was an aberration rather than a revelation of her true character. But another part remembers the casual way she brought Eli into our home, the practiced efficiency with which she covered her tracks. Saturday morning brings a text from Cleo. I know Jennifer came to see you. I didn't ask her to, but I'm glad she did. I hope you'll consider what she told you. I don't respond immediately. Instead, I drive to the hardware store for supplies, then spend the day working on a deck repair for an elderly couple who've been married 53 years. They move around each other with the unconscious coordination of people who've shared a life for decades, finishing each other's sentences and anticipating each other's needs. The secret, Mrs. Patterson tells me over lunch, is choosing to love each other every day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. What if one person stops choosing? I ask. She exchanges a look with her husband. Then you have to decide whether the relationship is worth fighting for or whether it's time to let go. How do you know which is which? You know, Mr. Patterson says quietly. Deep down, you always know. That evening, I text Cleo back. Meet me at the house tomorrow, 2 p.m. We need to talk. Her response comes immediately. Thank you. I'll be there. Sunday afternoon, I pull into the driveway of the house I shared with Cleo for 8 years. The lawn needs mowing, and there are newspapers piled up by the front door. Small signs of neglect that suggest she's been as distracted as Jennifer claimed. Cleo opens the door before I can knock. She's wearing jeans and an old sweater, no makeup, hair in the ponytail Mrs. Henderson described. She looks younger somehow, more like the woman I married, and less like the successful attorney she became. Come in, she says softly. The house feels different, not just empty but hollow. My absence has left obvious gaps, the spot where my chair used to sit, the empty hooks where my jackets hung, the kitchen counter cleared of my coffee maker and morning routine. You've been sleeping on the couch, I observe. I tried the bedroom, but... She shrugs. It didn't feel right. We sit at the kitchen table, where we've shared thousands of meals and conversations. The same table where she used to tell me about her cases, where we planned vacations and argued about money and dreamed about the future. Jennifer says you ended things with Eli. The day after we had dinner, I called him and told him it was over, that I was going to try to save my marriage. How did he take it? Not well. He said I was making a mistake, that you'd never forgive me, that I was choosing security over happiness. What did you tell him? That I was choosing love over selfishness. That what we had wasn't real. It was just an escape from reality. I study her face, looking for signs of deception or manipulation. But she meets my eyes steadily, and for the first time in months, I see something that looks like honesty. Tell me about the counseling. Dr. Martinez, I've had 2 sessions so far. She's helping me understand why I made the choices I did, how I justified them to myself. And what have you learned? Cleo takes a deep breath. That I was running away from the person I'd become. The corporate attorney, the ambitious professional, the woman who had everything she thought she wanted but felt empty inside. Being with Eli was like being someone else. Someone spontaneous and desirable and free from responsibility. But you are that person, Cleo. The corporate attorney, the ambitious professional. That's who you chose to become. I know, and I have to figure out how to be that person while still being someone worthy of your love. What if those things are incompatible? Then I have to choose which matters more. We sit in silence for several minutes, the weight of 22 years pressing down on us. I think about all the good times we shared in this house, all the plans we made, all the ways we supported each other through difficult periods. But I also think about the months of lies, the casual betrayal, the fundamental disrespect for everything our marriage was supposed to represent. I don't know if I can trust you again, I tell her finally. I understand. I don't know if I can look at you without remembering what I saw on that camera footage. I understand that too. And I don't know if I can sleep in our bed without thinking about what happened there. Tears start flowing down her cheeks, but she doesn't try to wipe them away. What can I do, Mason? Tell me what I can do to fix this. I don't think you can fix it. I think we have to build something new, something different. And I don't know if either of us has the strength for that. I do. I have the strength if you do. I look around the kitchen, at the home we created together, at the life we built before ambition and success and middle-age restlessness tore it apart. I need time, I tell her. Real time, not just a few days or weeks. I need to figure out who I am without you, whether I can be happy alone, whether this marriage is something I want or something I'm just used to. How much time? I don't know. Months, maybe. Long enough to get past the anger and hurt. Long enough to think clearly about what I actually want. And what do I do during that time? You figure out the same things. You decide whether you want to be married to a contractor who lives a simple life, or whether you want something more exciting. You decide whether you can be happy with one person, or whether you need the validation of multiple relationships. You decide who you really are when no one's watching. I already know who I am when no one's watching. I'm someone who made the worst mistake of her life and lost the best person she's ever known. Maybe, but you need to be sure. Because if we try to rebuild this and you change your mind again, it will destroy us both. I stand up to leave, and she doesn't try to stop me. At the front door, I turn back. For what it's worth, Cleo, I did love you. I loved you more than anything else in my life. That's why this hurts so much. Did love? Past tense? I don't know yet. That's what I need to figure out. I drive back to my apartment through streets that look different now, like I'm seeing them with new eyes. At a red light, I notice a young couple walking hand in hand, laughing about something private between them. They look the way Cleo and I used to look, before success and ambition and middle age complicated everything. Maybe some things can be rebuilt. Maybe trust can be restored and love can be renewed. Maybe two people who've hurt each other can find their way back to something real and lasting. But maybe some things, once broken, are meant to stay broken. Maybe the kindest thing you can do is acknowledge the damage and start over with someone new. I don't know which is true yet, but for the first time since I found those birth control pills in the trash, I'm willing to find out. The story ends here, with uncertainty and possibility in equal measure, because that's how real life works, not with neat resolutions or clear answers, but with difficult choices and imperfect people trying to figure out how to live with the consequences of their actions. Some stories don't have endings. They just have stopping points, moments when you have to decide whether to keep reading or close the book and start something new. This is one of those moments.